And right there where we stood. Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction, Chapter 3. She's panicking, and God, she hasn't panicked like this in so long. It's comforting in some twisted way because she remembers the happy butterflies that would accompany the feelings. It's strange. She knows that, but it's okay. Ladybug touches down in the park. It's 7 p.m. The same time she and Shot used to start night patrols all of those years ago. It's kind of silly of her to pull such a call back, but there's a small wistful part of her that hopes that maybe he'll remember and do the same. Maybe he remembers, or maybe there's still a semblance of a mental connection between them, because it's only a few minutes later that she spots the familiar leather suit. Either way, she's ready to cry tears of joy. She doesn't really need to call for him either. He turns his head and the bright red suit gives her away. It's too far away to know for sure, but she swears she's seen that same smile she used to see as a kid. Just the prospect of it makes her giddy with joy. "Hi, Ladybug," Shot says when he finally gets to her. "Glad to see you're still on time," he teases. "Well, it's nice to know that you now know how to be on time too," she jokes back. He bows dramatically with a sly grin. "Why, I had to learn, for sake of your 17-year-old self," he says. "I do hope she's impressed." Green eyes gaze up at her. She feels the smile on her face grow even wider. That's something she didn't even realize was possible. "Delighted," Ladybug laughs. He looks pleased with himself. There's a sense of peace in her that settles in her bones and soothes all the aches she didn't even know she had. It probably comes from the fact that it's just her and Ch.3 in the park, almost like how it used to be. Almost like how Paris was so big, just for the two teenagers who saved the world every day, but still managed to smile and find something despite all the struggles, fear, and trauma. She smiles subconsciously in a wistful way, and Shot seems to have noticed that because he straightens up and motions with his head for them to walk forward. Where are they walking to? She's sure that neither of them know, but it's not a concern of hers. "So, since you've been back, what have you seen?" he asks her, and oh boy does she have some things to talk about. "Oh goodness, I went to my old school and you would not believe how much it has changed," Ladybug gushes. "One, they must have done some big remodel because I can't even find my way in it anymore. All of the math classes are in some new hall, and the English ones are across the school, and it's all so different," she exclaims, dragging a hand down her face. "I feel like a freshman again, which is an awful feeling. Also, teenagers nowadays absolutely terrify me. I was so scared as a kid. They're like 14 and way bolder than me. And we faced death nearly every day back then," Ladybug cries out. Shot chuckles and nods his head in agreement. "I heard you," he sighs. "They'll do anything or say anything they want. I used to run out of class for Akuma fights and was still too scared to go to the nurse if I didn't feel too good," Shot admits with a laugh. "I mean, more power to them," Ladybug mutters. "How come you're at your old school?" he asks. Ladybug bites her lip. Technically, she was there to drop off some bakery orders with Alia, but they walked around because Alia said that Adrian started teaching there. In all honesty, it both shocked her that he took up teaching, and at the same time made perfect sense. Adrian had always been brilliant with kids, and he really knew how to make things interesting. He had a quiet charisma to him, forged from being a childhood model, most likely. She and Alia had walked to drop in and say hi, but he was teaching a class and they decided not to disrupt the lesson. "I had to drop off some things for my parents. They bake a lot," she opts to say. Something that wasn't a total lie, but also wasn't the full truth. Ch.3 nods. "Makes sense. Did you get lost during the drop-off, or when you walked around?" he asks with a knowing smirk on his face. She wants to push him away, but instead buries her face in her hands with a slightly embarrassed laugh. As a kid, she would have rolled her eyes and shoved his cheeky face out of her vision. She, isn't like that anymore. It's easier to be shy and hide than walk that path again, even if she knows it won't actually hurt. during... Ha! Shut up. Unlike their old adventures, they don't swing around to have competitions on who can get the farthest in one throw, or who can find the most rocks or something. Now they calmly walk and talk. Ladybug smiles the entire time, loving his stories and adventures. They have missed out on so much of each other's lives, and she wants to hear every little thing. Every party, every promotion, every job offer. Every single new thing that has made him smile since she left. Ladybug knows she's being a little bit of a lovesick fool right now, but she doesn't care. All she wants to do is listen to Ch.3 talk about his university life and what he thought of the movie he saw last week. But then everyone looked at me like I was crazy. Like, guys, I am not insane for wanting to use our budget more efficiently. Ch sighs, ranting about his work colleagues. Honestly, it's a confusing story because he can't really tell her what he does or who he works with. But besides herself, Ladybug laughs. Ch doesn't seem to notice it and just continues his venting. By now, though, Ladybug is distracted. She's caught somewhere between the present and the past. He used to listen to her like this. Used to listen to her babble about Chloe or other people she had to work with that tested all of her patience. She really did appreciate it back then, but now it's funny how their roles have switched. In many ways, she isn't that Ladybug anymore. One of those is how much she talks. Update, she doesn't say much anymore. Or at least she doesn't say meaningful things that much nowadays. That's not to say her life doesn't have any meaning in it certainly does. But nothing means as much as this, as him. As a kid, Ladybug had said so many things to him that she meant with her whole heart and still does. Now she talks to her coworker and her friends, but it's never going to go as deep as it did with the boy standing next to her. Could he even be considered a boy at this point? He definitely shouldn't be, but Ch.3 will forever be her goofball partner in Akuma fighting. A faint smile makes its way on her face, and she thanks God that he doesn't notice, thus sparing her from teasing. Only that was an amazing idea, and it saved everyone like 4 days of work. We actually finished the unit on time with every other blocking, let me tell you. I went home and cried tears of joy, because that has never happened before. Ch continues. Ladybug nods. God, she's never felt happier. Just listening to him talk is like a breath of fresh air or a surprise vacation with paid leave. He hasn't changed his mannerism. If anything, he's more excited than he used to be, because of how long it's been since they've truly talked. But really, joy is flooding her senses and rushing her head into delirium. She wants to be brave and take his hand without another word. He'd probably stop mid-sentence and stare at her, looking more bug-eyed than she did. She nearly sees it happening, his words trailing off while she bites her lip to keep from laughing. Ladybug knows exactly what would happen. However, the key word is would. She knows that nothing bad would come from it, but she still can't work up the courage to do so. Does that make sense? He asks, snapping her out of her reverie. Ladybug blinks at his hopeful expression, feeling bad for having not paid attention. She smiles shyly at him. Yeah, I think it does, she says, trying to play it off cool, but he sees right through her. Ch.3 chuckles and shakes his head as if he had been expecting it. You weren't paying attention to what I was saying at all. A statement, not a question. Maybe, she says with a laugh. Well, I'm deeply offended, he says with a grin on his face, therefore disproving his words. Ch is smiling at her like she's the only girl he's ever seen in his entire life, and it just makes her want to shriek and spin around and smile wider than possible. Oh well, I guess it was your loss. It was some pretty interesting and rousing information about my workplace budget. He shrugs. Oh dear, what shall I do now? She deadpans, and he falls to the ground in laughter. They keep walking across the park enough times that she could draw all of the statues from memory. But it's a loop of memory that she never really wants to end. His gentle smile when she says something that's so unique to them. The soft moonlight glow that dances across his face when they walk nearly halfway around. The way his eyes perch to her every few moments. Ladybug commits these moments to memory. It's just them, now. Earlier, they passed by other late-night walkers who gaped and smiled and launched for pictures. And she's never felt better. It's always been them against the world, just Ladybug and Ch.3. But right now, it's just them and the world. It's late enough that they could have the whole city at their fingertips, even the sky, which no regular civilian could access. However, Ladybug feels that it's better that they're here on the ground. There's so many people on this earth, so many places to be, and yet here they are at this park, him and her together. It's awfully romantic. It's awfully dreamy of her. She knows. Ladybug knows that she's falling too fast into the ground, and if she's not careful, it'll be a disaster landing. But tonight is the moment she knows, I need this. I need this every second of the day, every single day. It's like her heart is pounding out of her chest and her brain is mush. She fell in love with Ch.3 so long ago, and that was something that she was never really able to admit before, but now she knows it. She needs these walks and these little glances and these magical moments for the rest of her life. And God, she's not ready to lose it. She's not ready to lose it all again because she's a coward and runs away again. Despite the wall of reality, she's just going to pretend that it won't hit. She's going to pretend that it's not all going to go away in less than a week. Instead, Ladybug will smile at the fragile thing that they have again. Get up, Shot. No, you killed me. She rolls her eyes at his dramatics, because that is one thing that hasn't changed. Ladybug's eyes flashed around, avoiding giving Ch.3 the attention he wants from her, when her eyes land on one of the new statues that she's yet to really pay attention to. Her steps pause and Ch.3 notices, joining her in front of it. He places a hand on her shoulder, almost like he's connected to her mind and thinking the same things. Do you remember that day? Ch says, pointing to the displayed reference photo. They were about 15 in the picture, give or take. Honestly, it was some of the roughest time for them as a pair. There had been too much going on in her life, too much going on in his too. It was all cultivated in a lack of communication between the two of them and a space they didn't really know how to close. I know I do. His voice is quiet. What a blast from the past, Ch.3 muses. Ladybug stared at him. What just came out of your mouth? She managed out between giggles. He pouted at her, but that didn't stop her from laughing. I've not heard a person under the age of 30 use that saying. Oh my god, I can't believe you just said blast from the past. This is amazing. Stop, Ch.3 whined, but he grinned despite himself. I can't help it if I'm an old soul. Ladybug raised her eyebrows at him. He just knew at that moment he was really going to get made fun of. Clearly, she nearly shrieked. Ah. For about a week, they had been on edge with each other, and one visit from an old friend, cough cough, Mr. Pigeon, had given them a sense of normalcy. It had taken longer than that to fix their disconnect, but for a moment, it was soothing just to be Ladybug and Ch.3 again. It was a good day, Ladybug hums, imprinting their laughs into her memory. It was. Because that moment is lost now. But this one isn't. Ladybug knows she'll lose this moment one day too, but she's gonna hold on to it as long as possible. She reaches a shy hand over and brushes her fingertips against his, because she's not brave enough. However, this is a start. He gets a hint and laces their hands together tightly. Ladybug can only guess what he's thinking, but she's overjoyed and knows that once again, like those quiet nights as teenagers watching over the world, standing here in the park with just the world and Ch.3, she will never come back from it.